So hi and welcome to this week's video. This week's video is a little bit different because I'm actually celebrating a bit of a milestone here on YouTube. I've been creating videos every week for 1 year, round about now. So I put my first proper video up the end of June, beginning of July last year. And obviously now it's the beginning of July by the time this video goes up anyway. It's time to celebrate the 1 year anniversary. So part of the celebration is going to be a giveaway to you because I really appreciate you, whether you're new here or you've been here a long while. I really appreciate you watching and liking and leaving a comment and subscribing to my channel, which has obviously meant that my channel has grown. So the most important thing about having a YouTube channel for me anyway is the community aspect. And that couldn't happen without you. So we're going to have a giveaway and I'm going to share all the details of that next week. And the other part of the celebration is going to be me talking frankly about YouTube and how the whole year has been for me, the good, the bad and the ugly. And I thought to make it as relevant to the audience, to you as possible, I would ask my Patreons, which I did this week, for any questions that they had around YouTube channels and YouTube and equipment and all that kind of thing. Because I know that there's people out there who have YouTube channels, who are trying to grow YouTube channels, who want to start a YouTube channel, or maybe you're just curious about YouTubers. But that's what I thought I'd do. And I just want to say a really big thank you to my Patreons for leaving me comments and questions around this topic, because it's really helped me plan out the content for this video. So I'm going to start with the most popular question. I think I had 9 comments about this particular question. And the first one to ask was Jennifer. Hello, lovely lady. I dream of starting a YouTube channel. My questions are, what do you use for filming? What stand, tripod, setup do you have and have you found best? Do you have any special lighting? So let's talk equipment then. So when I started my YouTube channel, I'd already been making Patreon videos for about 3 months. And as a camera, which is obviously a really important part of your kit, I was using my iPhone 7, which wasn't the best, I have to say, but it was good enough and it stood me in good stead for quite a few months. I was able to film my desk, making art, and also film myself as well, talking at the camera. And I'd lost all my income because of lockdown, so I'd lost all my jobs and art classes and things like that. And so I didn't have the finances to splash out on any equipment at all. So I'll put a little clip in here to show which tripods I use and the clamps that go on top of the tripods to hold the phone, and also how I film when I'm looking at my desk, so what my art creation setup is as well. Insert footage here. So for overhead desk shots, this is my kind of setup. I've got this tripod, which was James's, but he's kindly given it to me, and it's a Manfrotto. I'll try and link everything below. And I know this make also do an arm, which works to do over desk shots. I actually use this clamp. To show you, you can just put your phone in or even a light little camera in there, and yeah, I can bend it. It's quite a robust one that James got me right at the beginning of my filming journey really. And then I just clamp it to, it's got like a screw clamp, and I just clamp it to the tripod, and then I have it this side because I'm left-handed. So for filming vlogging and things like that, I've got these little adapters that go on top of the tripod, and they just fit your phone in. So you can screw it to open it and then tighten it, and then that holds your phone in place on there. And I've got this tall tripod, and I've also got a smaller tripod as well. So yeah, that's my my smaller sort of desktop one. And I've got another one of these clamps on the top, and again I'll try and link everything below. These are the ones that James got me. I just used to have one and then swap, sorry about my creaky floor, and then swap and put that one on the bigger tripod, but then I invested in another one because it was just easier to have two. And the tripod make, I'm not sure, I kind of stole it off James. And yeah, I'll try and find out for you though and link everything down below, as I say. Vanessa has asked about camera and lighting setup. So just to add to that, I don't have any special lighting. I basically use a lamp with a daylight bulb if it's really dark, just to shine on me, on my face. But sometimes I forget to put that on. And I'm pretty lucky in the studio in that I have all round windows. So I've got a big skylight just up there, and then I've got big windows here as well. So I really like using natural daylight wherever possible. I think in the future, I will want to invest in some better lighting, particularly when I'm filming my desk and filming my artwork. Sometimes I find that if the lighting changes, it changes the light on the artwork that I'm creating, and that could be a little bit distracting for the audience. So I'm by no means in a pro situation yet. I don't have pro equipment or anything like that. I'm just kind of working with what I have and then improving certain pieces of equipment as and when I can, if that makes sense. So Angie's asking, I'd like to learn about the equipment, what you recommend for beginners, microphone, lighting, etc. And also Christina's asking if there's any equipment that I wish I hadn't bothered with. So I think for beginners, it makes perfect sense to use what you have already and not buy or invest in anything that you don't need. So for example, if you have a phone, which most of us do these days, start there, start with your phone, and then maybe get a cheap little microphone as well, and just start there and have a little experiment. I started with my iPhone 7, like I said, and I think I had a selfie stick as well. And I used to prop my phone in certain positions for filming. I didn't even have a tripod or the clamp thing, which really was a game changer. So I think having a little tripod, it doesn't have to be a big one, and then something to hold the camera on. If it's your phone, you need one of those little clamps, and perhaps a microphone as well. And yeah, I don't think you need more than that to start. And Christina's part of the question was, is there anything I wish I hadn't bought? I think the shotgun microphone didn't really work for me because it was picking up too much noise, and I wasn't really wandering around vlogging, so it wasn't really the right microphone for me. But because I've hardly bought anything, there isn't really anything else that I can think of. No. So the last thing to say about my kit is microphone, because I think that the sound is really, really important. And when I very first put my first Patreon videos up, I basically raced home just before the lockdown was announced. I'd grabbed a load of stuff from my studio. I raced home, set up the camera, I kind of rested my phone on something, and I just used the phone microphone, which was a little bit echoey, but not too bad at home. I then tried, James got me a Rode Micro microphone, and that plugged into my phone, but it picked up a lot of background noise, and that was a real problem, especially when the studio opened after the first lockdown. I get quite a lot of road noise, and in fact even more in the studio I'm in right now. So the best option for me was to actually use a lavalier. Am I saying that right? Lavalier, a lav basically. So a little one that just clips onto your clothing, a little bit like they use on telly, those kind of ones. And they are a little bit annoying. I have one with quite a long lead, and it did have an extension on the lead, although it really gives very bad sound if I use the extension, so I don't tend to use it. And I bought a mid-range one. I will link everything I used, if I can, below. I find it works quite well for me in the sense it doesn't pick up so much of the background noise. But just like with the lighting, I would like to invest in a really nice pro microphone that will sit on top of my future camera one day, because I would like to have a little camera as well and not just film on my phone. I have to just insert another little bit of information here as well, because my partner James, he does photography, and he has a nice camera, and I'm not really interested in cameras. I've never been into cameras, which James and my daughter will absolutely barf at because they're both really camera crazy, and I'm just not into cameras. So that's why I chose to keep using my phone for so long. But I do really enjoy the footage that his camera creates. So that's where some of the nice nature shots and things come in with he's got a nice Canon and some nice lenses as well. And just before I move on to the topic of editing, I'll just say that a few months ago, I actually upgraded my phone to an iPhone 11 Pro, and I got a really good deal around Christmas time, I think, and I upgraded it then. And that was only because of the camera it comes with. It comes with a really good camera. It's got like 3 lenses, and also the selfie camera is much better as well. So when you're doing things like Instagram Reels and things like that, it's nice to have a nice front camera as well. you can see what you're doing a bit easier. So I think that's all my kit. Is that all my kit? Yeah, I think that's my kit, so let's move on. The absolute final question about my equipment has come from Jewel, and she says, I'd like to know if your podcast equipment is different than your regular filming equipment. And I don't do a podcast on YouTube, I do a podcast on Patreon, but I do use the same microphone to do my voiceovers as well. So I'll link the microphone that I've been using for the podcasts down below. I think I would like to upgrade some of my equipment at some point, but I still feel like I'm in the early days of my YouTube journey, so I've only been doing it a year. And I didn't know whether I was going to enjoy doing YouTube. So I've held off investing in anything apart from, like I said earlier, upgrading my phone to the 11. So I've got Betsy, Jennifer, and also Chris asking about editing. How long does it take to edit? And did you have previous experience doing it? And how did you learn to edit? Was it difficult? What software do you use? So basically I have a MacBook laptop, so Apple, and that comes with free software called iMovie. So that's how I started editing. So like I said a minute ago, I started making videos for the Patreon just as the first lockdown began. The first videos I put up on Patreon were just me talking at the camera, and I didn't edit anything out at all. I just uploaded it as it was, and that was the first 2 or 3 videos on there. And then I started doing some artwork, so I wanted to do a little bit of editing on there. So things like adding a bit of time-lapse in, adding some music and things like that. So I started off by doing those 2 things. And I think if you've never edited before, there's a lot of layers to editing, if you like. I think about it a little bit like the way I make a painting, a lot of layers. And so if you try and take on too many layers at once, it's just going to end up being really confusing and overwhelming. But if you start off with just saying, right, I'm going to learn to do time-lapse, I'm going to learn to make good cuts, I'm going to learn to add a bit of music and things like that, and you just take it step by step in bite-sized chunks at your own pace, then I think it's completely doable. I've got no expert skills, I didn't have any training, I just literally taught myself. And then I did get some help and input from James and also my son-in-law Sam, and they gave me some feedback from the videos I was making, and they were really supportive and loving when they were making criticisms, if you like. It never came across as a criticism, it was always, you know, can I suggest maybe next time you could blub blub blub. And so yeah, I had 2 very loving souls kind of helping me with feedback and ideas of what to do next. So was it difficult to learn to edit? Yes, it was. It was an uphill learning curve for me, but the thing I found about when I started editing was that I really, really enjoyed it. So if I hadn't enjoyed the whole process of doing it, and I hadn't found it so creative, I don't think I'd have carried on doing it after the lockdowns. And I don't think I'd have started a YouTube channel either. So Chris also asks, how long does it take to edit a video? Well, how long is a piece of string really? It depends what kind of content it is, what kind of filming you've done. So if it's a really basic film on my desk, it tends to take me a lot less time than if I'm putting in and inserting lots of different footage from all over the place. Those kind of videos take a long time to edit. And I'd say the average YouTube video that I'm doing at the moment probably takes me about 8+ hours to edit. I don't know if that's quite a lot or not, but yeah, it does take me that long. So Betsy's asking, how did I learn to edit a video? Was it difficult, and what software do I use? Now, I've kind of covered most of that, but I only bring up Betsy's question is because I haven't really finished off with what kind of software I use. I did mention I used iMovie to start with, and I used iMovie for at least the first 6 months. And then when I realised that I'd kind of got my head around iMovie and it didn't have as much functionality as I wanted, I had some creative ideas and I couldn't follow them through on the iMovie program. So I shifted over to Final Cut Pro, and it was really tricky. And the transition of doing that, what I used to do was, instead of doing the YouTube video and the Patreon video in Final Cut Pro, which I didn't know at all, and it was really complicated and really different to iMovie, I didn't find it intuitive to learn. What I started to do was keep the YouTube video and edit that in iMovie, and then for a good few months I started doing the Patreon video and did the editing for the Patreon video in Final Cut Pro to learn the process. And then a few months after that, I think a good 3 months, I started to do all my editing in Final Cut Pro. But it was hard, yes, because Betsy's also saying, was it difficult? I found it quite difficult to switch over to Final Cut Pro, yes. But as I said earlier, I love editing, I love the process, mostly, not all of it, but most of it I really love, and I love the creative elements of it. So it was worth it to me to learn Final Cut Pro, because then I was able to be more creative and do more of the things that I had in mind. And there's other free editing software as well, not just iMovie. So if you use a PC, I'm not sure what it's called, but I think there's a free software version for you as well. And there's even free software on our phones now, isn't there, for editing videos? So you can do some really basic editing on your phone or other gadgets as well now. So there's not really any excuse for not having a go if you feel like it. So the only part of this question then I haven't answered is, does it take long to upload videos? It does take quite a long time, yes. It depends on the internet speed, it depends on how long your video is and things like that. You have to export it from your software program and then obviously upload it to YouTube or whichever platform you choose to. So yes, it is a time-consuming part of the process, definitely. But it's not really a problem because I just leave it to get on and do its thing. I don't sit and watch it upload and things like that. So moving on to the next question then, this one's from Gail. Do you think being a teacher helped you face the camera / audience? I'm painfully shy and not sure I could be anything but a voiceover on my channel, and I was wondering how others do it. Probably, it probably did, because I guess as a teacher you are presenting. So in that aspect, yes, it did help me. And I'm not an extrovert and I'm not an introvert. I'm kind of a bit of both, and I flip between the two. So on the days I don't feel like filming, I don't film. Most days I can film, but there are days where I just say, I'm not filming today, I feel too shy. The other thing I think it's really important to say, and loads of other YouTubers do this, and they do it very successfully, is I think it's absolutely fine to just do voiceover on your channel. If that's what you're comfortable with, then that's what you should do. And you can always start there and then try talking at the camera a little bit and seeing if you're okay with it. You don't have to put anything up. You can just have a little play around if you like and film yourself and see what happens. I think what happened for me was because I'd been making the Patreon videos for a good few months and I started to get used to talking to the camera and feeling the audience on the other side of it, if you like, that I was actually having a conversation, I felt much more confident about the YouTube channel. And so I don't feel like I started from square one and just went boom and put myself out there on YouTube. I feel like I had that stepping stone from the Patreon, and I'm forever grateful for all those early patrons in there to help me on my journey. It was a massive stepping stone for me, and I know some of them are still in there, so thank you so much. So the second most common comment I got from the Patreons was actually about pacing myself, and Jolly and several others had put, do you sometimes feel you need to take a break from it all and just be able to spend uninterrupted quality time with James, loved ones, or just by yourself without the cameras and editing, etc., etc.? And if yes, do you feel obligated to be there all year round, especially for Patreons? It is hard work. I think anybody that's making videos, whether it's for YouTube or Patreon or somewhere else, will know this. The editing process is long, even if you enjoy it. I think you can build breaks in, and especially for something like YouTube. I mean, I've been putting a video every week for a year, and I'm thinking, you know, now and again, there are going to be weeks where I just don't upload. Maybe I start uploading 3 times a month instead of 4 or 5, and just give myself a little bit of a break. But even the weeks where I didn't think I'd have a video together, some things naturally and organically happened. So for example, this week I haven't vlogged because basically haven't slept much, and so I didn't come in the studio yesterday, and I didn't film for the YouTube on Monday. I was filming for the Patreon, so I haven't vlogged this week. But that didn't matter because I'd already decided I was doing my 1-year celebration on YouTube video. So yeah, I knew I could film that in a day, if you like. I think it's something to be very much aware of: burnout and fatigue and taking breaks and self-care. And I do talk a lot about all of those things on my channel. And I have suffered from burnout feelings, ongoing burnout and fatigue. So I think keeping our eye on that is definitely a really important thing, and part of just life, whether or not you make videos or not. I think that Both the Patreon and the YouTube are organic. So, for example, I've made changes to my Patreon tiers as I've gone along. I have had to adapt and change as the lockdowns have lifted and things like that. I couldn't maintain what I was doing right at the beginning. And also it wasn't wanted, it wasn't what the Patreon evolved into organically. And the same has been true for me for the YouTube as well. And priorities change as well, don't they? And then we have new ideas and new things that draw us in and interest us. And I think if you can grow your channel around that, then it always remains authentically you, and it's a constantly growing situation. And yes, along the way, you may lose certain followers and things like that, but I think remaining true to yourself and doing what you love and putting it out there is definitely the way that I believe in. Even this week, I've made some changes, and I've done a couple of additions and a couple of subtractions, if you like, just to make my schedule work for me, so that I know that I can be creating consistently, and it's quality over quantity, if you like. That's where I'm focusing. And I guess just to conclude on this question as well, is to say that if YouTube becomes too much, I will take a break. And yeah, I don't have a problem with that. And I don't think anybody else would either. So Hirondell also asks, I think your videos have the perfect balance of focused info and chit chat, or what you like to call Wendy waffle. Thank you. How much do you plan/prep? What are you going to say? And how much do you wing it? If I'm doing vloggy YouTube videos, for example, I pretty much chit chat unless there's something I really want to talk about. And so I will just go through my days. This is what I've been painting. This is where I'm at right now. This is what I'm doing. This is where I am. I'm making curtains for the van or whatever it is, dancing in the woods or whatever it is. But I do also have like a bullet point list of things I want to bring into the video, because I like there to be a point to the videos and it not just to be a waffly vlog type thing. I like it to actually have some level of interest, hopefully, for the audience. So I do plan a little bit for that as well. And then I also have a list. I've actually got a question here saying, how do you manage not to run out of ideas for content? I do have a list, which I keep for the YouTube video. I have a separate list for the Patreon and the YouTube. But specifically for the YouTube, I have a list of ideas of videos I'd like to make. So for example, I knew that after running my Patreon for a year, I wanted to have a video of what it was like to be a freelance artist full-time for a year. So that had been on the plan. And this video had been on the plan as well, because I knew I wanted to celebrate 1 year on YouTube and do a giveaway. So I do have a list, and some weeks when I don't have any ideas and I don't feel like vlogging, I can dip into that list, and I'm constantly adding to that list as well as things come to me. So favourite art supplies and travel art kit and art journaling videos and all sorts of things that I've got in my head, and where I want to move forward, which directions and things like that. So for example, when we have started converting our van, I knew that I wanted to bring in the van eventually when we'd got far enough for me to share that with you. So yeah, bringing new things in as they happen in real life, really. At the beginning of my YouTube journey, I didn't think I would be vlogging. I thought I would be doing more tutorial type videos and do some really detailed tutorials for the Patreon, and then do more time lapse, have a little peek to see what I've been doing. I know a lot of artist YouTubers do that, and then that way that doubles up the content, so that can be really useful as well. But I unexpectedly moved into vlogging and really enjoy that aspect. So I think I've sort of combined the two things with other elements like self-care and van life and things like that, positivity and slow living and those kind of things that are really close to my heart. And that kind of comes through in my YouTube channel, which I didn't plan. It's a little bit different for the Patreon videos. I tend to have more of a plan, but I never write a script. I'm quite happy, I'm quite a good communicator, and I find it quite easy to just chat away, and yeah, I've never had a problem with that. Ask my mum and my brothers and sisters and my daughter and James. So next question then, Lily has asked, mine would be, what is your favourite part of being a YouTuber? And this is something I thought about quite carefully, because there's a few things that I really like being on YouTube for. The number one most important joyful part of being on YouTube is definitely the community. So it's definitely you. It's definitely the interaction, the comments, knowing that you're there watching, supporting me. Just having you there is massively supportive and encouraging for me, and it just inspires me to keep going, really. And I didn't expect the level of love, and the comments that I get are so wonderful. Oh my goodness. I love reading them. I'm heartwarmed, I'm uplifted, and yeah, I love replying. I can't reply to everybody, but I do love replying as well. So I recognise names of people that leave comments every week as well, and that's really, really lovely to have people that are regularly dipping in and leaving me a comment, a lovely comment. And there's nothing more wonderful than that, really, I don't think. So the other thing I really like about having a YouTube channel is the fact that it's really creative, and I can be as creative as I want, and I can express myself how I want, and I can edit it how I want, and evolve my space, if you like, how I want. And I wasn't expecting to find that process, the process of making videos, the process of editing, as creative as I do. But I really find it wonderfully creative, and so that's the other thing I really enjoy about having a YouTube channel. For me, and I say this all the time because I say it at the end of every single video pretty much, but it's about shining your light out there. And I think all the things that you could say about YouTube and social media that perhaps aren't as positive, I think the one thing it does allow is that people can shine their light out there and other people can see them. And I do get asked, you know, why do I say, oh, shine your light and shine bright? And there's a couple of reasons for that. And one of the reasons I say that is because I heard a quote or a phrase a few years ago about a candle. You can light hundreds and hundreds of candles from one candle, and it doesn't harm the candle flame, it doesn't dim the flame. And so you can shine your light bright, and then if you can, and then you can help ignite other people that maybe need a little bit of help and support in shining their light. And then once they've got their light shining bright, that then has a knock-on effect. And so I love the idea of that. It's a little bit like a play it forward. So you do a favour for someone and you don't tell them or you don't charge them any money, and then it's only on the understanding that they pass it forward. I think there's a lot of YouTubers out there who are really inspiring people and keeping them going, especially during these times. And yeah, I really value that. And then there's a song, isn't there, about this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. And I'm not going to sing it on here because I can't sing. In fact, my son-in-law is the only person that doesn't mind listening to my singing. My daughter and James suffer it sometimes, I think. Yeah, because they love me. But yeah, I don't think it's something I should put on YouTube. I'll stick to painting and chatting. So Susan's asking, one question I have is, how much in advance do you work to provide content? Usually with the YouTube, I work weekly. Because I'm uploading a weekly video, then the content's created weekly. So I might film a little bit on the weekends if I'm in the mood, or I might not. I might start filming on the Friday if I come to the studio for the following week. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I start filming on the Monday. It completely depends on how my week's going, and also how ahead I am with my other filming jobs as well. So yeah, not too far in advance for the YouTube. I'm not a batch creator, if you know what I mean. I think there are YouTubers out there that can batch create. I'm not one of them. Perhaps I should try. My intention is to one day have a few videos in the can, so that if there are those weeks where I really don't feel like filming or I just need a week off, I've actually got something to put up. But I worry in case it's just not relevant to that week and that kind of thing. So I'll see how that develops with the way I make videos, because that may change in the future, I don't know. But right now I don't create in advance. So Christina's also asking about music and copyright and that kind of thing. And that is a whole barrel of worms, if you like. It can be really, really confusing, especially when you're starting out. And I didn't want to invest in something like Epidemic Sound at that point, because I was just beginning and I didn't want to invest in a monthly subscription to something. I wanted to go for, was there any free options? And there are some free options that you can dip into. I think I started out by finding music on YouTube that was copyright free. And that can be quite challenging. And I have had a few copyright claims on my channel, which I have appealed, because as long as you cite and put in the description box where the music's come from and things like that, if it says it's copyright free, you're completely safe. But a lot of the music on YouTube isn't copyright free. You can't play the radio or any music that has royalties on it. So it is a little bit difficult to find good music. And I went with, after I'd sort of been looking around on YouTube, there is the YouTube Studio. So when you upload a video, you can dip into their resources if you like. And they do have a selection of music in there, and that's copyright free, and you can use it on your videos. And then I also used, I think, Thematic and Ben Sound. I think I remember using that in the early days. And as long as you credit the musicians correctly, you're okay. And now I use Epidemic Sound, and I pay the monthly subscription, which I think is $9.99 a month or something like that. And there is a link in my description box for that. So if you're interested in Epidemic, you can click on that, and then I get a little bit of commission from that. Laura's asking about how videos go viral, money, how you get paid, how it's all structured. Is it based on views or ads? She says she's just really curious about it, and I don't have to answer if I'm not comfortable. This is obviously a good question, because if you are starting a YouTube channel with the intention of hopefully making a little bit of revenue from it, then you need to know this kind of thing. And while I'm not completely comfortable talking about how much each video earns and things like that, I do earn money on YouTube, and that's because I have ads on the channel. So I know they can be annoying, and I really apologize for that, but the ads on the channel bring me in the revenue from the YouTube channel. But I will say, it's not really about how many subscribers you've got. It's more about how many views and what your full watch time is. So even if you don't have a lot of subscribers on your channel, it is possible to still make good revenue if you get a lot of views and if you get a lot of watch time. And I don't understand the algorithm. The famous elusive YouTube algorithm is a mystery. But I did get good fortune. I won't say lucky, I'll say good fortune, because quite early on, I think it was the third or fourth video I actually put up, my video got significantly more views than my other videos had. And that really started to help grow my YouTube channel. So I think it really depends on the content you put up. And you can put something similar up a few weeks or months later, and it might not do very well. So it really depends on things like what other videos are going up at the same time as yours, where people are at in their life, what the interests are, all sorts of things like that. So in that sense, it's quite a fickle kind of world, if you like. And you can't monetize your channel straight away. You have to have, I think, 1,000 subscribers and 40,000 hours of watch time. Is it 40,000 minutes? One or the other, I can't remember. But you have to have a certain amount of watch time on your channel within 12 months in order to then you apply to be monetized. And then YouTube put ads on your channel, allow ads to go on your channel. And I'm not really sure how all that works. And then YouTube take, I think, 45% of your revenue, and then you get the rest every month. You get paid every month through something called AdSense. You know, and like I said, some videos do much, much better than others. So if you get loads and loads of views on one of your videos, it's going to make more money probably than the videos that don't get many views. It definitely helps to have people liking and commenting. It definitely helps to have people subscribing to the channel. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel and you like the content on here and you haven't clicked the subscribe button, then I'll do a shameless plug for my channel here, because I would quite like to reach 100,000 subscribers at some point. I'm at 75 now after a year. I'm not at all disappointed, and I love having each and every one of you, whether or not you subscribe or not. But yeah, to have, I think you get a silver play button, so you get a little plaque from YouTube when you reach 100,000, and it feels like a really exciting milestone. So yeah, so you can subscribe if you want to. So I almost missed a question from Jennifer here, which says, do you get any negativity, and how do you handle it if yes? How much time do you have to put into reading the comments? I do get some negativity, but not much. And I don't really pay any attention, to be fair. I guess at the beginning, initially, I wasn't getting any negativity at all. It was all positive. And of course, as your channel does grow, there are going to be people out there that want to make a negative comment, I guess. I've no idea why. But at the end of the day, I suppose when I started getting like some thumbs down and a couple of negative comments from people, I felt like a proper YouTuber. 99% of the time I get the most wonderful, positive, beautiful, loving comments. And so on the rare occasion where I do get a negative comment, if it's not offensive, so it wouldn't be offensive to someone else and it's not too offensive to me, I leave it up there. And quite often somebody else will come back to them and make another comment on my behalf in that way. So thank you if that's you. On the really rare occasion, I have deleted comments and even blocked somebody as well. So there's very little chance of abuse in that sense, because you do have that ability to delete and block people if necessary. Does it upset me? No, not really. Not too bothered, to be honest. I let it just wash over me. At the end of the day, if somebody leaves a comment on your video, it helps the algorithm. So by doing that, even if they didn't like my content, they've actually helped my channel. So I guess that balances it out. As for putting time in to read the comments, yes, I do. I put in quite a lot of time to read your comments. So on a Friday, once the video actually goes live, for the first few hours, I keep checking in and out to see which comments are there and read them and answer them. And then sometimes on a Saturday, I dip back in again a few times during that day. And then I tend not to be able to reply to too many after that. So maybe the first 50 or the first 100 comments I can reply to. But I do dip in and read them. And even on older videos as well, I sometimes dip back in there and read what you've written. So thank you for leaving me a comment, all the lovely comments that I've had and continue to have. Which brings me back, of course, to the point of why I actually enjoy having a YouTube channel. And the main reason is the community and the comments. So thanks for taking the time to write me a little message. So final question goes to Jewel as well, which is, did you have inspiration for your video, creativity, editing, and were there other channels that you learned from? I got lots of inspiration from non-art channels, if you like, which might sound a bit weird. And I do like art channels, but I wanted to do something that was more myself and totally authentic. So I didn't really want to follow the path of what the other artists online were doing. And I think because I wanted to see how I was going to organically develop if I was going to stick around on YouTube, I didn't really want to look at what was going on in that kind of world, if you like. So I like watching a lot of YouTubers that do productivity and minimalism and van life and those kind of things. Definitely learned by watching other YouTubers for sure. Different editing and different amounts of interest and camera angles and things like that. So I've learned as I've gone along, and I totally encourage you to be inspired by others as well. I think it's a really nice way to, build your own YouTube vocabulary, if you like, of how you want to present. I think it will really help to dip into those other channels that you love, to bring in characteristics and elements from other channels that you'd like to bring into yours. And that way you can grow as a creator and try things that you like and try things that you don't like, and then shift and flow in the directions that you're pulled in. The other thing I get inspired by is myself. I go within and maybe sit under a tree in nature, or sit and meditate and ponder at 3 a.m. in the morning of which direction I want my channel to go in. Do I want to make a video about this? Do I want to make a video about this? And this kind of thing. And I get inspired by going within and listening to the voice in my inner soul, in my heart. What am I drawn to? Where can I create joy and then put it out there, if you like? And that really, really inspires me. So I hope maybe some of you have found that interesting or helpful. And I really encourage you, if you'd like to do some videoing, whether it's for YouTube or something else, to really give it a go. Because as I say, I've got so much out of it and so much creativity and so much support and encouragement and inspiration from doing it. And it's really helped me grow and shine my light. I thoroughly recommend it. So I'd like to give a special shout out, a special thank you to my patrons for asking the questions in the first place and helping collaborate with this video and making it hopefully loads more interesting. So in the next video, I will be announcing the giveaway I'm going to do, and I'll also be coming back with more van life things. I've got to catch you up on a few things, and also some more tales from the unexpected studio, of course. So as always, thank you so much for watching and keeping me company and helping me celebrate my 1 year on YouTube. Try to keep your light shining bright, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Bye.